Hi, welcome. On this video, I want to once again respond to the way in which the dog daddy engages a relationship problem between a dog and owner. And here on this video here, I'm going to be providing some little bit of insight into some of the themes here I talk about that are missing by way of the dog daddy, which again aligns with a intentional interaction based method. And again, the dog daddy, he does bring influence and control into his approach initially, at least, okay, at the level of contact here. But I want to talk about, why it is that this actually begins to fall apart of certain moments here that you're going to see happening in this video. And so here, today, you got dog owners here at a seminar. The dog owner here, dogs has a muzzle on, which is a good thing. And here you see the dog owner is connected here by way of leash. There's collar on. I believe there's a, I don't know if it looks like part of a body harness here. But here's the thing: when I see the dog daddy engage here. He's moving his hand around here initially. But one of the big things here, and again, that's why I talk about dog daddy being Caesar Milan-like in terms of how he wants to really bring the spotlight on himself by way of taking control of the dog initially to offer a picture that way. But when I'm working with a dog owner and I'm making contact, it's all about right away bringing those core ingredients into the equation immediately, influence and control, and lining it up with the dog owner. So here, even getting this, this level of control manifesting this way towards the dog daddy, I'm shutting that down through the owner. Because here's the thing, it's all about changing the dog owner at the beginning anyway. It needs to be, okay? Because that's the originator of the relationship. That's the person who owns the dog. That's where all the problems have been generated. So right away, you want to start to get the dog owner to start to intercept, okay? By way, again, when I talk about intercepting, by way of just a nudge, just as control is manifesting. Okay, and that's key with the with influence being proactive versus reactive. So here, but again, here you're gonna see the dog daddy try to take control of this dog, but that will escalate it too. Understand when I talk about why it is that I want to process, okay, through the owner, especially with dogs that have gained a higher level of control. Because the thing is, and this I talk about clarity. That's one of the big themes. Keeping the level of challenge, as low as possible, while at the same time not following a path of bribery. Okay, because that's a major problem. You don't want to do that either. Using treats, engaging in those themes I talk about: bribery, accommodation, negotiation. So definitely, it needs to take a path of power play, but you want to do it smart. By way of what I'm doing is I'm actually exploiting, not the way the majority of trainers do by way of this learning-based idea, but exploit the relationship to the benefit of the dog and owner. Exploit, which means that this dog already has control over in and through the relationship over the owner. Okay, so therefore, by bringing the method, influence, and control into the equation through the owner, it's going to keep things leveled down. Even though you want the owner to change, okay, you're manipulating control, okay, that way. So therefore, because again, as soon as you take the dog as a trainer, so any trainers watching my videos, pay attention. You don't want people getting bitten. So you always want to do it smart. So here, this is again, dog daddy takes control. It's going to escalate right away anyway, right? Because again, the dog is going to go into higher challenge. Because even here, even though the dog, even there's problems here, we're talking about the dog daddy moving around, he's power playing it, and that dog's going to go into high challenge. And so it's not helpful a lot of times because you want clarity. Okay, you want the owner to be able to see and be able for this to transfer over, but you also want to again get the stress off the dog. So when the dog goes into a higher level of challenge, the stress loads are going to go up. It's going to get more, dicey. Okay, dog's going to try. If the dog has a muzzle on, they may try to rip that muzzle off, and so it just escalates everything. So again, when I'm working, with doggos, I will get a sense, pretty, going into say the home, because by way of bringing those core ingredients online through that owner pretty quickly, because I'll say get a hold of you, get control of your dog, keep your dog near you, and I'm paying attention. I'm watching the level of disagreeableness or agreeableness that's happening with those core ingredients happening in and through the owner right away. And then again, of course, if I can interact with the dog pretty quickly, that's helpful. I mean, that can be very helpful if it offers a type of clarity where the owner can see it, because people are visual, they're able to see it. But if not, again, you want to coach, you want to process that through the owner if you're dealing with a dog with a higher level of control. Now, of course, when I'm doing a board and train, I don't have that. Sometimes I don't have that luxury. And you'll see it. You go watch my videos, but I show even then how to do certain accommodations, again, without giving control of that dog to, create, again, maximize, that level of connection to gain as much agreeableness as possible. You want to slow it down and be very intentional with what you're doing. So here I play some of this video. I'm going to stop it along the way. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I just going to play just a minute or so just to really point out, because when people ask, well, what about the Dog Daddy or what about Cesar Millan? I'll talk about, yeah, they definitely, those core ingredients are in there to a certain degree, a certain level, but it's really important that the method itself, okay, speaks the right language. When I talk about right language, intent, okay, the interactions themselves join together, the right way. Okay, that's really important because it is about intent. It's about dog understanding, clarity. Really important. So you'll see how I'm doing. Watch my videos. You'll see how I'm moving, how I'm doing it. Here, you'll see the Dog Daddy stepping all over the place. Everything needs to funnel. That's another thing. Everything needs to funnel because, again, you want it to make sense to the dog. Even though the dog's going into a certain level of challenge, it's important that it all comes together the right way. So I'll play some of this video, stop it along the way here. Notice how he just clips out a certain part, he just jumps. You always wonder, okay, what happened between, that editing part. And see, again, this is the wrong way. So here, again, you see this, and there's videos out there with the Dog Daddy with the dog like defecating, okay, with the dogs between the legs of the owner on a video. And you don't want to do that because that type of power play, it offers up a contrast where, because of what's been established through the relationship and this type of a connection happening, with control happening, and then the dog being empowered through being connected that way, it will immediately escalate it. Okay, that's why, again, you don't want to, once you understand the contrast issues, when you're dealing with a relationship problem, and so even with her hand being up here near the head area, it will take the posture of petting on a dog. She doesn't have to, she just has to posture up that way, and it will inflame that dog even more. Okay, so again, there's things that you need to do to be aware of when you're, when you're helping owners, which again, it's all about, approaching from at an intervention level. You need to really understand that your movements, everything you do has meaning and matters.
Keystone. It's okay. Keystone. On by the horn, give me the other.
So, and then he backs away, it all just all escalates.
End of the leash. Give me the other end of the leash. The other end of the leash.
Do you want the leash?
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: we deal with certain dogs. I mean, you can deal with some pretty powerful dogs. They start to want to redirect on the owner, ripping the muzzle off, and then you got a real mess on your hands. I mean, that's the thing. Especially when you know the methodology. I mean, there's one video where, the Dog Daddy's holding the chair up. On the last video I did, it's almost like a circus, dealing with a lion. I mean, it was crazy. So that it ain't gonna, the bad thing, and that's the problem when, it's different when, say, a dog gets a muzzle off, and you're dealing with a process that lines up. Okay, you can deal with certain things and still keep it safe and deal with it properly. It's a whole different story when you're dealing with some erratic method that doesn't line up. It's all over the place. and there's all sorts of gaps, okay, and openings and opportunities, and that dog gets a muzzle off and kaboom. Okay, I understand that this is what you have to be aware of when you deal with certain situations, that how things can get out of control on people.
Let him go.
Now pay attention here, and this is the thing about funneling. I talk about, because right here, what should be happening, okay, is number one, it should be processing through this owner. It's not, okay. He wants to power play. It's kind of like Cesar Millan does with taking control. Is this whole thing with even step, it's how you step, okay. It's like slow down, like, with getting stationary right away. You want to line up as quickly as possible. You see the dog daddy's like moves all over the place here because everything needs to funnel. It's like language. It's like 1, 2, 3. You see how I'm moving here. He starts to engage power play this, but it's almost like, it's just like it needs to be controlled. Okay, even when I'm dealing with dogs that are aggressive, it's all about the method. Okay, even if I'm applying, putting the dog under influence, say for a down, you'll see how I'm locking, how I'm using my body weight, I'm leaning. It's not about making it personal. And if the dog doesn't, if I don't gain agreeableness, I'm not going to continue to assert influence certain ways, because it's all about being in the dog's head at a deeper level. A lot of the method is really, if you watch, two tug of war teams engaged in, pulling back and forth, the principles involved in the system that, that I align with, is I call it kinetic, but basically it's just like a tug of war team that collapses. You'll see the front guy's legs start shaking, before the whole team starts to buckle. That's what you're doing through the principle of how influences and control, intentional control, are applied, and with the dog's, state of mind being dialed in that way. It's about doing it smart, agreeableness, right? So it lets the dog lay down, okay? And that's the other thing too, is like being total control, so that, because dogs will go in the down to try to make it stop. So their mind is reacting, right? And that's the thing about, being intentional, intent. That's not here, okay? It's all kind of very superficial, okay, in a lot of ways.
Come.
Saying come. I don't speak intent through the. I don't use command, because then I'll take a path based on, again, what it's associated with already. It's like a contract that you've signed. So you start working off of verbal language. It has a different intent to a dog that's already gained control through the relationship. So you don't want to go there that way. You don't want to use commands. And see what he starts doing here? There's a big problem. He starts putting his hands all over dogs, starts touching and rubbing and petting on dogs. And the problem with, I want to point that out, is that, through the owner, okay, emotion, that becomes empowering the dog. That becomes, comfort to the dog, but the wrong way. Okay, that's why dogs can, attach to certain people. They can look really content, right, as the owner is petting on them, but meanwhile, the dog's gaining control through that the whole time in the relationship. That's why dogs will avoid certain people. They attach to other people. They think it's love. But those moments of petting and stroking on a dog, what happens is that dog empowers the dog. The dog becomes agreeable to it. And what it offers up is a false image, a false moment by way of comfort. So you see the dog daddy who will start petting on his dog. So it's that type of, empowered certain moments. And he tries to showcase it as, oh, look at this. But the problem with that, because this layers up into kind of a multi-problem. Because by doing that, then guess what? I might get away with that and do it and still be able to create change through my personality type, totality of the relationship. I talk about certain dynamics that way at the relationship level. But for her, when that she's, oh, look, the dog daddy is petting, man, I can pet too. Like, sir, I can get that right back. I can start to do what he's doing. That's not going to end well for her. All right, because that's already, that contract's been signed. So when that transfers over, right, she starts doing that, because understand something, as through a trainer, you're going to adopt what they're doing, right? This is meant to illustrate what you need to do. And so, but it takes on different meaning, okay, for that owner. This is why, for example, people could come to me and I could be doing certain things and using treats and everything else. I could get away with it, okay, and get away with it in the sense of what supersedes everything is, again, my personality type, how I'm interacting beyond an idea of things. I talk about that. This is one of the confusing things for a lot of trainers. Get away with it. But then say 30% of the people that come to me will be failing in the relationships with the dogs, and that transfers over, and I won't even know what's going on because I'm focused on response in a very superficial way, superficial level. It's not interaction based that way. Those core ingredients are online. So understand that this layers into a major problem for people, especially now you have a dog that has hit the aggressive level. So you should be, and so trainers will look at this as like pressure. You see other balanced dog trainers do. I think pressure. Okay, it's empowerment. And it's like fire and gasoline. So what will happen here in a lot of cases, the dog will flame up anyway and go into high challenge, and it'll set some aggressive moments in motion too. Okay, just pay attention to this stuff because when you deal with an aggressive, still doing it. When we deal with an aggressive dog, clarity is really important, but clarity needs to come through. Right, just like the right parenting style, being secure in that. Okay, it's got to come together. It's got to hold together. Those core ingredients need to come in, and the clarity needs to be the right way. Especially when we deal with really dogs that hit the aggressive level, you'll see it. You start to bring a dog under a certain level of intentional control and influence, and then you pet on that dog will go ballistic, right? Because again, that's empowerment, and the dog becomes more desperate through that.
Come.
It's like come, beg, like
Come.
that's what negotiating. Hand out like there's a treat in it.
Yes.
So he plays off. So understand, the dog daddy is very superficial in the way that he conforms into that learning idea of things. Okay, he power plays it at the beginning, right? But then he starts switching over. You'll see these moments where he's petting on the dog. He's basically negotiating. So those themes are coming out through the dog daddy. And it's a mixed bag is what it is. Okay, it's like bouncing back and forth between two parenting styles. That's what he's doing. But it's all appearance based. It's like, all the drama, and people will buy into it. But again, understand there's holes and gaps all through it, which again lead to problems, okay, for people very easily. Okay, because understand that, when I talk about coming out on the other side with a predictable outcome, it's important that those core ingredients hold together. They come in the right way, the right level. Clarity through how you're interacting. Everything needs to come together in the integrity of everything needs to come together and hold together for a certain period of time. Especially again, the change again, the nature of the relationship with the owner. So again, I just want to put it out there again. You see these trainers out there, very popular. People really invest in people's personality type. Really, it's become about that because everything's governed by appearances anyway. It's almost like, well, I like the dog daddy, so, I'll just, and that's what happens. But again, it should be about a process. It should be about making sure that, the process that you're aligned with is truly going to be meaningful in the way it changes perception of dogs. So you can check out my website, lots of great information. Thanks for watching.